Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. As you guys can see up on the screen today, I wanted to talk a little bit about BioNanogenomics Incorporated. This is ticker symbol BNGO. And this is obviously a very, very popular retail stock, especially over the past year plus at this point. It was one of these very, very highly volatile smaller cap stocks that has just absolutely gone crazy. I mean, this thing, if you look back here, was 50 cents in December of 2020 before it ripped all the way up to a 52-week high of 1569. But since then, this time, February 2021, February 2021, was just absolutely insane for so many high-risk, speculative, growing, futuristic, future-looking plays. And since then, it's just kind of continued to sell off and sell off and sell off with really not many too extended periods of time, going up. And today was another rough day for BNGO, down 7.39%. But this is still a company and a stock with a very, very passionate and pretty large fan base and people who really believe in it and people who are kind of buying the dip every step of the way. In this video today, I want to go over some of the new news for BNGO, some of the positive news coming out, what some people are saying about the stock and the company, their future prospects. Obviously, there's a lot of negative sentiment in the market right now, but there is still some things to look around and be excited for. So obviously in this video, no investment advice. I'm not telling you to buy, I'm not telling you to sell, I'm not telling you to do anything like that, and I'm not a financial advisor, so I wouldn't do that, and you shouldn't listen to that anyway. But I am just going to be covering stories, giving my thoughts and opinions on some stuff, and just talking about news in the market in general. So if you guys do enjoy that, make sure you drop a like. I would appreciate that a ton. Subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content, and consider checking out the Patreon. First link in the description below. I would appreciate that a ton. It's an awesome way to help support my channel and my content. With that being said, let's get right into this. So obviously, 2022 so far, January has been historically bad for a lot of individual stocks. It's been historically bad for the market in general. And I mean, the stocks like BNGO were already pretty beat down. This thing was down, 75% plus already coming into January of 2022, and now year to date, as soon as this loads, this thing's down 41.8% in 27 days, and even less trading days. That is crazy. That is so horrible. Now, obviously, tons of people around the market have been screaming how everything's overpriced for, years and years and years. So many people are saying this is expected. Some people are saying this is healthy for the market. But it is kind of interesting to me because, hey, all the people who bought these stocks at, especially like BNGO, if you bought this thing at 15, at 12, at 10, at 8, at 5, at 2, hey, do you still love this thing now? Are you really getting this thing on sale? If it is this amazing growth company going forward into the future, or did all those people just overpay and, they're never going to see that money back? Who knows? But some of the big exciting stories coming out for BNGO today. Obviously, the market in general was down today. Dow Jones down 0.02%, S&P down 0.5%, NASDAQ down around 1.5%, Russell down 2.29%. So, the Russell, that's going to show us where a lot of the smaller cap stocks are at. Smaller cap stocks got beaten down today, 2.29% down. Obviously, BNGO kind of outpaced that, but again, individual stocks usually tend to outpace the indices on both the upside and the downside. So the fact that the Russell's down 2.3% today and the BNGO's way down, not super shocking, and I also don't think that horrible of news, but that's just my opinion. We did have this article from Investor Place coming out a couple days ago. BioNanogenomics is interesting as genome testing scales upward. BNGO stock has solid fundamentals and solid products, at least according to Alex Sorois, the guy who wrote this article. Investors seeking a potentially explosive play in the growing genomic mapping sector ought to consider BNGO. And they go on to talk a little bit about why. The sapphire system, obviously one of the biggest, selling points of this company and of this stock, if you really believe in this system. The first thing to understand about BNGO is the product and services it offers. That begins with the sapphire system. It is a high throughput genomic mapping system which is sold institutionally. The price of the sapphire system begins at $150K. As you might imagine, that isn't going to make the system attractive to individual buyers. That's not really the point. Anyway, the sapphire system is only practical for large-scale institutional genomic mapping. The company brochure states that it costs $450 per genome with 240 genome bundle. I believe that means for institutions that outlay the $150,000 for the Sapphire system, they also pay an additional $108,000 as one option. If I'm understanding correctly, that would allow institutions to begin mapping 240 individual genomes for roughly $260,000. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Obviously, the Sapphire system, every time they sell, another Sapphire system to a big company, institution, whatever, that's a big news story. That's some great business for BNGO. If all goes well, hopefully they're setting up some kind of long-term partnership. But either way, it's getting the technology and stuff out to more and more people, and it's really, really cool. They do have rental and data options. For smaller operations, the initial cost might make the system unattainable. In such cases, BNGO also offer rental options, which their team installs the Sapphire system in-house. It's not cheap either. It costs $550 per genomic test run, and renters have to commit to 120 genome tests every 6-month rental period. That translates to $66,000 in expenses in 6 months. However, the low commitment service BNGO offers is individually submitted samples. The firm's data service allows individual submission of certain tissue types costing between $950 and $1,150 or higher depending on the image resolution required. Investors should logically wonder how much of a market exists for such a cutting-edge, expensive product and service set. Yeah, very, very fair. But just know, when they do make a sale, they do make a transaction, they're usually making some pretty significant money. Now, obviously, customer acquisition is probably going to be difficult. It's probably going to be expensive as well. But also, if genomics really grows into the future and becomes much more popular and people are willing to spend all these crazy amounts of money and BNGO advances their technology, maybe they make stuff cheaper, maybe they have, a better kind of value proposition to customers, whatever. Hey, maybe, you start to find a lot more opportunity. Fortunately, the news looks promising on the front of the genome market growing. The company recently released a set of Q4 and full year results. BNGO appears to be doing quite well. In Q4, the firm anticipates that it will report between $5.8 and $6.2 million in revenue. Sequentially, that will represent a 45 to 55% increase on a year-over-year basis. Investors should also be encouraged that BNGO found a strong sales base for their Sapphire systems, which again, we've gone over the cost, and they boast an installed base of 164 Sapphire systems, 69% more than it had in 2020. And even more good news, BioNano also reported a record net increase in the installed systems of 23 Sapphire systems in that fourth quarter of 2021. So that's awesome. They talk about how this is an early opportunity. All of them give it a buy rating. A bunch of analysts are giving it a buy rating right now. Average target price from the analysts the 4 analysts that they're looking at, have given it an average target price of $11.38. And again, right now, this is $1.88. So we're talking a 5 to 6x opportunity if those analysts are correct. So that's pretty intriguing. That's pretty interesting. Again, that doesn't mean that you need to jump in and buy right now or anything like that, but it's kind of a basis to maybe start putting this company on your watch list, to start diving into it further, start doing your own research, coming up with your own numbers, all that stuff. Also, we had this very, very big, not Jeff Fisher, I don't know why I clicked on that. We also have this very, very big story that a lot of people on the BNGO subreddit are talking about from Yahoo News. Got severely ill from COVID. Genetics may have made that more likely, some researchers have found. So, again, this talks about just kind of genomics research and COVID and how some of this stuff is coming together. Work began as soon as the pandemic began to find genetic clues as to why COVID-19 affected some patients more than others. Even after sequencing as many as 50,000 patients, there's no convincing evidence of a genetic predisposition for severe disease. Those previous efforts looked for much smaller flaws in the genetic code, akin to typos in words inside a very long book. But the consortium looked at the bigger picture, much like a flyover of the genomes, seeking out larger scale aberrations known as structural variants, and this is where BNGO comes into play. It is similar to how scientists found genetic changes that allow Sherpas in Nepal, for instance, to adapt to lower oxygen environments at high altitude. And then, we read some of the captions of these pictures. One, we see, this has BioNanogenomics branding on it, this thing here. So Dr. Ravindra Cole, director of the Georgia Esoteric and Molecular Laboratory, holds a BNGO flow cell cartridge that will be loaded with genetic material from COVID-19 patients and then analyzed to determine if there is a genetic reason why some patients get very sick or die. They sought to explain why some patients with a lot of virus showed no symptoms, while others that had a small amount got very sick. The consortium identified rare genetic changes in three key areas: a genetic flaw that weakens the initial defense against the virus, a heightened ability for the virus to access the cell, and a change that promotes easier spread from cell to cell. And then we have another picture here. Same guy, director of the Esoteric and Molecular Laboratory with the BioNanogenomics machines used to analyze the genetics of COVID patients to determine if there's a reason why some COVID-19 patients get very, very sick or die. So this article goes more in depth. It's a bunch of stuff that you can read into. It's an overall really, really cool article. But the most important part to me here was the fact that the BNGO technology is actually being used. This has real world use cases. This is being used in research by, reputable and known kind of scientists and people out there, and they're able to find some meaningful, data, meaningful results, which is really, really cool, especially on a topic like COVID, which is impacting everyone so directly right now, and we know so little about it, and everybody has questions, everybody wants answers, and the fact that BNGO is able to help in that regard, super, super cool, and it just shows kind of the potential in future that this thing might have. As the technology gets better and as it gets more popular and widespread, it could be cool. But again, seeing data and science and research put out using this technology, I think is a really positive sign overall. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about BNGO. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hopefully, catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.